Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon and welcome to Sports Extra. I'm your host Ahmed Nawaz with the latest roundup of sports today. Let's take a look at what we're discussing and then of course we continue things in detail. We've got a lineup regarding the world of sports as well. New Zealand's tour to Pakistan, the 4th T20 International will be played on the 25th in Lahore. Injury has put a lot of Pakistan players on the sideline as well. The latest casualty is Mr. Mohammad Rizwan, who is now sidelined from the series as well. Hamstring injury has been aggravated. Before that it was Azam Khan as well. Brings to question some of the things that have been going on. But then again, availability is in doubt. 5-match series is already level at 1-1 after the first match was washed out at Pindi Cricket Stadium. The second one, Pakistan turned on the victory note, and in the third one, New Zealand really gave us a thrashing. So the series is poised as now they turn to Lahore, but it's going to be very, very interesting on the 25th because almost, if any of these teams, both of these teams, if any one of them manages to win, they're going to have the stronger hand in this series as well with 2 T20s to go as well. So we'll talk about that. Then we talk about the West Indies women's tour to Pakistan. The third one-day international is to be talked about as well. It's underway. West Indies have already taken a 2-0 unassailable lead. They've won the series. This was part of the ICC Women's Championship as well. They've been outstanding, especially Hayley Matthews and Campbell. So we'll talk about that in detail as well. Then we move on to, on this day, we've got another milestone to discuss. One of my favorite players for Pakistan, Younis Khan, became the first Pakistani to score 10,000 runs in Test cricket. He achieved the milestone against West Indies, opening match of his farewell international series, made 32 Test centuries with the best score of 313 against Sri Lanka in 2009. So we'll talk about the great Younis Khan, and I think terrific player for Pakistan. If you talk about technically being sound, technically being solid, you can talk about any dynamics. Younis was certainly there as well. So we'll talk about that. Then of course we move on to football in the second half of the show, discuss the FA Cup. Manchester United have qualified for the final. And of course they're going to be facing Manchester City on the 25th of next month. United beat Coventry City in the semi-final. City defeated Chelsea by 1-0. What's interesting is the Manchester derby that we're going to be talking about almost. But for Manchester City, I mean, they're out of the Champions League. If this is going to be a crucial final for them as well, because they want that silverware to consolidate. And Manchester United, we all know how badly they need a trophy as well. So we'll talk about that. Time now to take things into detail and introduce the guests. First of all, in studios, we've been joined by cricket commentator, international broadcaster, presenter, and our sports expert, Asif Ahmed. Assalamu alaikum. How are you, sir?
Walaikum assalam, Ahmed. I'm perfect. Thank you.
We've also been joined by sports expert on PTV World, Mr. Ali Mehdi. Assalamu alaikum, Ali. How are you?
Welcome, Salam. I'm very well. Good to be back.
And also joining us is sports expert, a regular part of our programs, Mr. Malik Usman. Assalamu alaikum. How are you, sir?
Walaikum assalam. I'm doing well.
Great to have you on the show as well. Now, Usman, of course, we'll talk about the next 2 T20s and injuries as well. But, I really want to take your opinion on the third T20 and how has it affected some of the plannings that Pakistan was thinking about as well.
We are talking about planning. Is 178 good enough a score in Rawalpindi pitches? I don't think so. I think even 180, 190 is our score. So first and foremost, what they were planning is something that they have been doing for ages, and that is consolidation, consolidation and consolidation. And once you realize that 20 overs are already gone. So that is not the way of playing the modern day T20 cricket, and we have seen that in many of the franchise tournaments that are happening around the world, and many of the teams that are working on making impact innings, and which has become so much crucial in T20 cricket now. But what Pakistan is going forward with is the same strategy that they have been following for the past couple of years. That was one of the reasons we were slightly surprised that all the talk about Babar Azam and his circumspective approach to T20 cricket and his captaincy, yet he was brought back as captain. So we all knew what we were going to have in store, and that is what we have had. So there is no surprise about it. But having only 4 wickets lost and scoring 178 odd runs against a B, C, D, E, F, G level team of New Zealand, and then they are chasing this score with apt ease, has lot many questions to be answered just before the World Cup. And Pakistan, mind you, one of the favorites to lift the trophy in West Indies, USA. I think there are lot many questions that need to be answered, and if you are not going to change your approach and you are having different personnel, I don't think that is going to matter too much. And that is what we saw soon after the game as well. Your captain, your coach and your vice captain all had different opinions, and that tells a lot about the confusion, about the planning and mindset that is going in the Pakistan camp right now.
But certainly, I think this is one of the things that Asif highlighted yesterday as well, that we had 3 different statements from the coach, from the captain and the vice captain, and I think that creates a lot of confusion as well. And we earlier talked about this as well, that the problem is not going to be some of the players making comeback or Pakistan wanting to try the so-called bench strength that they think they have. The problem is once again going to be that confusion and that dilemma that we're in, that, you know, T20 cricket is our brand of cricket. That's the best brand where Pakistan play, and they'll always make it to the top 4 or the finals at least. The fact is, like Usman also highlighted, and Asif, I think it's about time now that we start talking about the fact that our players are not equipped to go beyond that 200 mark. We have to start this debate of strike rates in Pakistan. For far too long, I understand averages are also important, but if you look at the modern day requirement of T20 cricket, I mean, you've observed players from Afghanistan, you've observed players from all over the world, UAE as well, you're familiar with those players, and even in Oman as well. If you look at the new brand of players that are coming up, even from associate nations or even from teams like Scotland, the Netherlands, Ireland, they understand the value of strike rates and what it means playing, you know, the first 6 overs importantly as well. And on the second hand, the thing that you mentioned as well, which I think is the most important, Shoaib Malik used to say that, you know, the most important part of T20 cricket is from over number 7 till over number 15. The most important phase where Pakistan is gladly accepting that they're failing.
Well, very long question, and
My apologies.
let me reply. Two things, Ahmed, as you said that the Pakistani management is still confused. I think that the being nation we are confused, and right before the World Cup we were raising some, you know, and we were chanting slogans about Babar Azam and Rizwan that these are the problem with the Pakistan cricket team. All right, let's remove these 2 players from Pakistan cricket team, and what else we do have? We don't have any sort of quality players. We've given chances to the Usman Khan, though it's early to talk about his performances, but you see his body language in last couple of games. I think that the problem with the Usman Khan or the new players are, if you are just focusing over the strike rate, yes, do focus, but please first make your technique better, perfect technique. We had taken a couple of names like Glenn Maxwell and of course AB de Villiers, Mr. 360. Both of them, they were earlier on in their early stages of the career. They were so strong with their technique. They used to play in the V. If you do remember the match where AB de Villiers scored the 100, the fastest 100 against West Indies, he came on number 5 and over number 37 was in the progress. So I think that the mindset is the problem, and this is what I had asked a question with the Azhar Mahmood, the head coach, that what's going on, that you were working with the different teams, you remain in England, why their body language is so positive, why they came up with a plan and they execute. Actually, we don't have plans and we don't execute properly. We have only one plan, that if you won the toss and just give the batting to the opposition and try to restrict them under 160, 70, and then they're both of the batters, Rizwan and Babar. They used to play well. But the question is, the confused people, please reply. You have given chances to the Fakhar Zaman, to Saim Ayub, Usman is there. Then what's the problem? Why they're not performing? And the people who are making an argument that this is not the Usman's number, sorry to those people. This is cricket. If you cannot play on number 1 or number 2 or number 3, and you have only one position that I would come on as an opener, and then I could only perform, then let me give you an example that Adam Gilchrist, he used to come on as an opener in one-day cricket, and what happens in test cricket? He used to come on number 5, number 6 and see his centuries. So I think this is your mindset. So sorry to those people who are talking about that the Usman number is only number 1, number 2.
But I think it's utterly confusing, like you mentioned, for us as well, because the fact is that even if you talk about playing Saim Ayub as an opener, what I fail to understand that now they need to be given the same role which they've been enjoying for the cricket they're playing. But when they come to the national side, especially for Saim Ayub, he's trying to play shots which are probably unconventional to him, which I'm really sad about.
Ahmed, you have watched him in domestic cricket, in 4-day cricket, that he used to play with the straight bat. This is T20 cricket, and the pressure from the quacks that you have to play with the cross bat. To be very honest,
they just want to see that fine leg, no look shot.
Yes,
that's
only
it,
that. Oh, that's a brilliant shot. Oh, that's a brilliant shot. And you know that international cricket, that the statisticians are sitting there, they're working on you. Why Usman is struggling against Ish Sudi? If he cannot play against Ish Sudi, Usman Bhai, tell me then how he could face Rashid Khan, how he could face Tabriz Shamsi, how he could face Trent Bolt, people like that. So I think that this is the problem with the people who are sitting and just talking about their favorite players. Just talk about Pakistan. It's all about
Absolutely.
Pakistan.
Ali Mehdi, I think another thing that has been debated in Pakistan is the conversion of your innings as well. How to build an innings and how to convert those quick fire 30s and 40s into big scores as well. We're already struggling on the one-day note because this is a World Cup year, just a month to go now, month and some days. The fact is that it is utterly shocking with the strike. Look, as my guests also mentioned, you would agree, Ali Mehdi, that if you can't clear the fence at the Pindi Cricket Stadium, where are you going to clear it then?
Well, you know, if you talk about hotbeds and the flattest wickets in the world, as flat as a pancake, they don't get flatter than Pindi Cricket Stadium at Rawalpindi. So no, I actually completely agree with you and our fellow colleagues that, you know, you have to have that solid defense, and, you know, you can't get bamboozled at Rawalpindi Cricket Stadium. It's unfortunate that, you know, we talk about techniques and we talk, you know, we're finding these issues with our team because this is the World Cup year, this is the World T20 year. In about 2 months' time, me and you and, you know, Asif Bhai and Usman Bhai will be talking only about one thing, and that is that T20 World Cup. And unfortunately, 8 weeks, I would say 6 weeks before, you know, the World Cup starts, we're talking about technical issues, techniques, we're talking about these sort of things. We shouldn't be focusing on this. We should be focusing on other things, you know, strategy, this and that. If you're talking about techniques, then that's something very worrying right now, because it's just, you know, we've got, you know, we have considered to be the favorites. We've got the best team over there. It's all about output over there and how to get the best out of these players. The thing over here is that, you know, we've been talking, yes, about Usman and this, and while people, I agree with Asif Bhai entirely over there, that you can't have a favorite number, especially in T20 cricket. In T20 cricket, you need to be versatile. You need to get any position because there are only 120 balls, and for that matter, you should be ready to play at any position. You know, you should come for the team first. Whatever your management and you know, the team which and also the organizers, all your team management strategizes for you, so you go about it. So I think you just need to be versatile, and T20 is the one format where anything changes within a flick of a, you know, you could say a snap of a finger. So I think it's very important right now that whilst we're talking about techniques, we have to go ahead with this team. We have to actually work, the team management and all the players actually have to work on their technique, their technical issues, you know, work on their strategy, because we've only got a few games left. We've got 2 matches left at Lahore. We obviously go to Ireland for a 3-match series, a 4-match series at my favorite venue in the world, in England, where we'll be playing 4, and then obviously the World Cup begins.
Certainly.
So that's why I think it's important that we highlight these things.
I think you got to consider this as well, and, you know, we're going to come to some very pertinent things that we'd like to talk about in detail as well. But Usman, I think this strike rate question, and obviously we talk about 200 being the new 150 in T20 international cricket. Sides are now normally aiming for 230 to be a, you know, safe total, even if the bowlers are struggling a bit as well. I think 160s and 70s is, if Pakistan's comfortable with it, we can't blame our bowlers for not defending those kinds of totals.
Pakistan has been lucky. They always have had one of the strongest bowling lineup in the world, and they still have a very good bowling lineup. I think this is where PCB chairman, I think, missed a trick. He should have hit the hammer, and he should have said that this is how I'm going to take this game forward. If someone is not happy, he's out of the team. If someone is happy and he can do what I want them to do, he's in the team. Getting back Babar Azam, and then you expect, you're doing the same thing and expecting a different result, it is pretty not good if you are smart enough. And this is how Babar Azam used to carry his team. This is how he's carrying. One of the reasons why Babar became captain was because he had a good hold on his team. He was very respected. He's the best player in the side, but that doesn't mean he's the best captain in the world or the best captain in the Pakistan side itself. This is how they are going to go forward. You have just 1 month left. If you're expecting that a team is going to outperform itself in 1 month's time and they are going to target 230 to 40, I don't think so. Having a strike rate of 120, 125, 130 without being an impactful player, I think that is not going to work in T20. It wasn't working in the past 2-3 years. How is it going to work in this new age of T20 cricket? One credit to Pakistan side is that they were probably the first team that actually decoded how T20 is going to work out. And the credit must be given to Shoaib Malik, as he was the captain in 2007, and then having Umar Gul to bowl the 4 overs on a trot in the last 10 overs. Okay, that things did work, but now you are 17 years into T20 cricket's age, and still you are pursuing with that kind of cricket that you have to restrict opposition and you are going to chase them down. If you're relying too much on Rizwan and Babar, that is not going to work, because now teams are not even thinking 220 is unachievable, T20 is very much achievable. Look what is happening in the neighboring country, even 240, 260, 270 has been taken for fun. And that is high time Pakistan should learn this thing very quickly. Okay, you may say that there is a case of impact player over there, but what about international cricket where 230 to 40 is being scored at will and it is also being chased down? Pakistan, for that matter, still looks for 150, 160, 170. That is not going to do much wonders for Pakistan. They have been doing well in UAE because that was slow and turning pitches where 150 was very much defendable, but it has, that too has taken a decade or so more. But now after 1 decade's time, you still think that 160, 170 is being defendable, that too on Pindi pitches? I don't think so. That is what New Zealand B, C, D, E, F, G team has shown you, that 170, 180, even they can chase it down within with some 7 balls to spare. And that Chapman, one player who is still a reserve player for the playing 11, actually hammered your ballers to all part of the ground, and Pakistan has high time to think that what they're going to do for this World Cup. If this is what they're going to do, I think that is not going to work by any means.
Absolutely. Interestingly, Asif, the confidence has also been shaken. As of course, off the record, we can talk about this as well. Right now, I just had a stat in front of me, which was very interesting. It is because obviously our last indicator for an ICC tournament is the T20 World Cup of 2022. So we can talk about that as well. And surprisingly, in that World Cup, majority of our batters' strike rate was below 125. The only
Including Haris?
not. I'm just going to name 2 of them. 2 of our players who were on top of the strike rates. One was Shadab Khan, 160 plus, and Mohammad Haris 160 plus. So Haris is not in the team right now. Shadab is also there, and as we discussed yesterday, had it not been Shadab, Pakistan wouldn't even gotten 130, 40 as well. So I mean, this is alarming that if you look at from the last World Cup up till now, there should have been a visible improvement in the strike rates as well.
Well, Ahmed, I think that let me reply your first the previous question you asked, and I missed that the over number 7 to over number 11, what could be the strategy? Being cricketer, you play cricket.
For me, 14. I'm sorry, but for me, 7 to 14. 7 to 14.
Well, this is really simple. That our batters were struggling against the bowlers like Ish Sudhi and Jimmy Nasham. I think that
even Bracewell.
Bracewell even in the 17th over, Pakistan conceded 19 runs against him. That was good. That was okay. And I think that was a technical mistake from the Bracewell, that you cannot bowl against batters like Shadab Khan, because he's not a proper, he's a part-time bowler. So one thing. The second thing is that how you could make 7-8 runs in an over. This is very simple. And the technical thing is that you had spoken to the legend Javed Mian a couple of days back, and if you see and if you look towards his batting, you'll see that how simple and easy that was for him to just take a single. 6 single in an over and just wait for a loosener and just concede a boundary. So I think you could take very easily 9-10 runs in an over. Ish Sudhi, even he was bowling in the middle, and the batters, they were not able to hit towards the mid wicket or the square leg area with the power. So I think a bowler who is struggling with his line or length, even the way Babar Azam got out against Bracewell, playing so far and trying to play over the point, and he's an off spinner. I think that was all pressure on Babar Azam, and you cannot see him that the Babar Azam playing away from the body, especially spinner like an off spinner, and he could have gone for the cut shot. So I think that the Pakistan team is somewhere under pressure. I don't know. That's why the different statements coming from the same team, and either they're the same page or not. Babar Azam, after taking once again the captaincy, and the pressure is on him, everyone wants him to play, fast and furious, but it's not easy for him because he's a player who cannot accelerate on each ball. He just wait for the loose delivery, and he just go with the
Then why try to change your natural game? I mean, I'm in awe of how Hashim Amla used to play T20 cricket. Absolutely.
This is only pressure. This is only pressure. The people like me, we're sitting here and just we're talking about, we don't know the game, we don't know the scenarios, we don't know that what the cricket teachings are, and we're just focusing one thing, and that is why Babar Azam is taking single. Why is not conceding boundaries? That's it. That's the question.
Something that changes mindset. But talking about pressure, let's get the inside analysis, because mostly Ali Mehdi is in pressure because of us. So Ali Mehdi, this pressure handling tactic or being mentally strong has been a debate since lifetime now in our part of the world as far as sports is concerned, especially cricket. Now the fact is, you brought back the captain, you've given him confidence, he's involved in selection. I understand that it's going to take some time, but what we are not understanding, that out of 12 we've played 2 matches, 1 has been washed out, so 3 gone. 9 T20s in total left before the World Cup. That gives us very little time, and what we're failing to understand is that our next series is against England. Then of Ireland and England. So these 2 teams are equally tough, the competition as well. And if we're struggling right now, as Asif mentioned, against the likes of Bracewell and what he's doing to us, Ishrudi's always been a nightmare for Pakistan. They've on and off handled him well. Imagine when Mitchell Santner comes back, or I think Adam Zampa is going to trouble us, or India for that fact with Jadeja, Kuldeep Yadav and Jadeja, Rashid Khan for Afghanistan. I can count these, Tabrez Shamsi in South Africa. We can count these spinners on our fingertips. But the fact is that what are we doing for that? I'm not sure.
I don't think we're doing anything for that matter. We're just going along as things progress. There's no real strategy. There's no real planning for that matter. And it's very unfortunate, because I think myself and Asif Bhai have been mentioning for so long that this should have been a series where you actually rest your senior players and play the youngsters too. Give these youngsters an opportunity. Why? That is because after this you've got the Ireland, and then when the series happens against England, then go towards, plan for that World Cup, which begins at the beginning of June. So I don't think there's really much planning over here. If these players really, and the senior players really cared for the national team, they would have taken a rest right now, see, what talent is emerging, and right now, and they'll get plenty of more opportunities because they are legends in the making. So I just don't see any strategy over here, and I'm sorry, this injury of Rizwan, I think it's aggravated, and I think Rizwan should have put his country first, and unfortunately now he's out. And hamstring, we know it takes a long time. Should it be in other sports, should it be in cricket, football, we know that hamstring takes a long time too. So I think there's really no there's no planning, and then obviously now there's a lot of pressure because we aren't performing.
Yeah, 2 of your wicket keepers have gone home.
Yeah, so 2 of them have gone, and now Hasibullah I think is going to play for the rest of the series. So really, clearly there isn't any planning, and that's extremely unfortunate. Hopefully they can turn the tide around in the remaining 2 matches too, and hopefully win the series. But sorry, if you're not going to perform against the likes of Bracewell, against these other players too, Inisha for that, and Isodi, and the veteran Isodi, who's not their first time spinner over here, then I think we have serious problems too. And let's not forget Chapman. The one thing he always looks forward to is coming to Pakistan. He comes to Pakistan, he is the man of the series. That's where his, you could say that his stocks get boosted. So he's just having a ball of a time right now.
Yes, skipped your question about pressure. How you could handle the pressure, Ali Mehdi?
Yeah, pressure. When it comes to pressure, you have to, this is part and parcel of the game, how to deal with pressure. Pressure is so important over here. And if you can't deal with pressure, there's nothing in life which you can actually take on. So I think they have a sports psychologist to a cricket psychologist. How do you deal with pressure? And this is part and parcel of the game, along with how your performance, you have to deal with these pressure cooker situations. Because it's only these...
Well, our pressure cookers are leaking so far. We're out of gas, we're out of steam, we're out of everything that we can find. But we always, on this show or any other platform, all of us, we're always hopeful that things are going to change. I understand that it's very disappointing to even mention this. It really hurts me when I talk about this, that we had made a fantastic combination. We can go back to the era of Sarfaraz Ahmed, and then we can go on that, we were in the phase of building a team that was enjoying a great dressing room environment. There was camaraderie. Then we saw the decision of axing Sarfaraz Ahmed, and Babar was made captain. Even at that note, we said that it's going to trouble the dressing room. But fortunately enough, it was handled brilliantly. And, we saw camaraderie once again. But what they've done in between with the Shaheen Afridi saga, and then bringing Babar back as well, as a lot of people have mentioned on this show and various other platforms as well, that you've created uncertainty in that dressing room. And because of that uncertainty now, we saw that non-serious attitude, some sort of non-serious attitude. I don't mean it rhetorically, I don't want anybody to take that. This is our sole opinion. We don't mean any harm. But the fact is that it's very disappointing that and why I'm a bit, bugged about it, that every time it's a World Cup year, this happens to Pakistan cricket. So I hope that things improve. I hope that the last 2 T20s turn in our favour. It's not just about the results. We want our batters to be in form. Bowlers, one way or the other, are going to perform if they've got runs on the board as well. But unfortunately, I think a lot of these bowlers are not getting a chance, which include Usama Mir, which include Mohammad Wasim Jr., which include Hassan Ali for that fact. I think a lot of the other players who are the true sideline players should have been given the opportunity over here as well. So on that note, I think we'll move on to something very special, which is of course on this day. You talk about the great Younis Khan, and what a terrific record. And I think one of the most stylish, talented players Pakistan had to offer. And I think, Asif, it was a great aura watching Younis Khan bat in any format that you could think of.
Well, I think that when we talk about the legend Younis Khan, the only one thing that he was an excellent player. Not only excellent player, but a very good captain as well. We do remember that in his captaincy, Pakistan won T20 World Cup in England, and in his captaincy, team was united, and the players, they were performing so well. Pakistan team was playing as a unit. When we talk about his test cricket, wow, that was incredible. And of course, that what kind of batter he was. I do remember that when he scored 311 against Sri Lanka, I was just waiting for the day that maybe he could break the record of Brian Lara. But the courtesy, that was a very good in-swinging delivery by Chaminda was, if I'm not wrong, Ahmed. And
2009?
Yeah.
It was against Sri Lanka.
Against Sri Lanka in Karachi. So Younis Khan got out early on 311. But that was a fabulous innings from him. Each and every innings of Younis Khan is unforgettable. Had a fantastic record for Pakistan, lot of services. Congratulations, dear, and we're still missing you.
Well, certainly. Usman, what would you like to add about that aura of Younis Khan? Because I think at that time, Pakistan's middle order was so solid that a lot of very talented players had it very difficult to make their way into the Pakistan side.
That included Misbah-ul-Haq himself. I think Younis Khan is probably the finest test batsman Pakistan ever produced. I think his 313 is a remarkable innings. And one thing to go with it, he was the captain of the side, and he surprised many people when he came in the position when many were expecting a night watchman may be sent. And his 313, but I think his best innings was 267 against India in India. And that was a majestic innings, and that was one of the reasons I think he became a global star overnight. And that was one of the innings that actually defined him. He was a fighter. He went through with the team, and he was the sole reason why Pakistan won that test match, probably in the end. And Inzamam did his best that we get a draw, but I think in the end we won it by 3 or 4 overs remaining. And his second innings, 84 not out in the same test match. I think he was simply superb against India in India. And 10,000, and he's the only batsman from Pakistan who scored that 10,000 runs in test cricket. I think that was one fine, remarkable career that he had in test, but not to forget his outstanding achievement in 2009 T20 World Cup. And let me add something more to it, that is his humanity side. And he was the one who asked Shoaib Malik to come and lift the trophy, because it was 2007 when Shoaib Malik was the captain and we lost the final. That is from the horse's mouth. Shoaib Malik himself stated that Younis Khan actually asked him that, I know how you may be feeling losing as a captain in a final of a T20 World Cup. Why not you lift the trophy? And that actually he broke down while stating these things. So Younis Khan, not just as a captain, not just as a cricketer, not just as a batsman, but a fabulous human being as well.
Interestingly, I think
winning the T20 World Cup was
Usman, interestingly, the only one in a long list of players we've seen who was really dominant against the spin bowling. Even in that test match, I remember, to neutralize the likes of Muralidharan with the sweep and the reverse sweep, it was something that was, unseen from Pakistani players at that time.
I think that was one of the best part of his batting was sweeps and reverse sweep, and he used to say that his favorite shot is reverse sweep. So you see how much command he had on his reverse sweep, and having a good sweep and reverse sweep, those are actually attacking shots and a kind of defensive shot as well. They say if you're not getting to the bounce of the ball, you start playing sweep shots, and he was probably one of the finest, if not the finest. And people like Michael Clarke, who are the legends of the game, actually praised him so much. And they thought that he was someone who would be playing 100 test matches, and that is how Pakistan cricket is. They don't play too many test matches, still having a remarkable record and having most number of centuries in the 4th innings, and one of those players who have centuries in all 4 innings as well. I think with an average of over 50 he was simply brilliant, and many of his innings have been as one down, which is the most challenging batting position in Test cricket. I think Younis Khan will stay for a very, very long time in the memories of Pakistanis.
Absolutely.
If you allow me,
Yes.
I will add only one line, and that is about what Muralidharan has said about two players that I had faced difficulties to bowl, Younis Khan and Saeed Anwar. See the legend talking about legends.
Absolutely, and I think that innings is of course memorable, but my favorite one was 2016 at the Oval when he got that double 100. That was the, an innings of character against this the actual seam bowling and swing bowling that was happening at that time. I remember that fourth Test match, Pakistan won by 10 wickets, of course, but the way Younis showed that character in that innings, and he took the charge to the English bowlers. So I think it was a bit of both, character, technically being solid, and taking the attack. Ali Mehdi, I'm sure you want to talk about that innings as well.
That's one of my favorite innings. I mean, the one which Usman Bhai pointed out way back in 2005, a series where we were 1-0 down at Kolkata, and going into Bangalore, we managed to actually win that Test match and drew the series 1-1 in India too. Kept a perfect record in India at that time, going into that series, after that series. And then obviously the 2016 one, I think it was a very historical series. I remember speaking about 8 years ago on this very television program that, that this is innings, it is one of the most legendary innings, because if you remember that series very closely, Younis Khan was under so much pressure to actually to give up, to actually retire, and to give up his white kits, and to actually say goodbye to Test cricket too. But he stood steadfast. He showed glimpses in that series at Old Trafford, and then obviously the Oval, the first match where Misbah got a century, and then the one at Edgbaston. But he really found form in that final match, and then we realized, it was then that we realized that it's going to be very difficult to replace Younis Khan. And then obviously in 2017, when he said goodbye to Test cricket after our first away series win in the West Indies, we knew that we were losing a legend, and he would be irreplaceable. And till this day, we miss him very much. But what an incredible human being, what a Test cricketer. And one last thing I just wanted to add, to that 2009 victory in the T20 World Cup, is I remember whilst Asif Bhai was saying that, there was that one image when he was lifting the trophy. All the players came and they actually lifted that trophy along with him, the T20 World Cup of 2009. So I think he was an incredible player, and there are times we talk about other legends, but he's definitely up there along with them.
Certainly he is. Well, I think up till this day, I have not seen such a player in the Pakistan cricket team. You can talk about many players around the world, but Younis Khan would always stand tall amongst all of them, because like my guest also mentioned, not only a fantastic player, but one of the most kindest soul that you can find as well. A great human being and a great ambassador for the sport of cricket as well. Thank you very much, K. Asif. We'll thank you on that note, but we'll hang on to Usman and Ali Mehdi, because we move on to the FA Cup now. We discuss it in detail. Manchester United have made it to the final. They're going to be facing Manchester City. What better way to have an FA Cup final than a Manchester derby? And I think after what's happened to City against Real Madrid in the Champions League, this is a must-win trophy for Guardiola, and probably some sort of redemption, not completely, but some sort of redemption. But then again, I think the way United have been going about their business in the past 1 or 2 years, even in this league as well, they badly need this trophy in the FA Cup. Usman, what would you like to add about this all-important final coming on the 25th of next month?
It's a repeat of the previous year. It's again a Manchester derby. I don't see a result being any different. I still back Manchester City. Manchester City is a very well-oiled machine, and we have seen that, and they're mentally so tough. Look how they have taken over from the defeat against Real Madrid, where they were probably the better side of over the two legs, and they lost on penalty shootouts, which is actually a lottery. And then against Chelsea, I think they were very lucky against Chelsea as well. But if you're brave, you have to have some luck on your side if you have to win this kind of trophies. And that Grealish handball, I think that was a certain penalty which wasn't given. Yeah. And then they scored a goal, and it was all enough. And Chelsea have their work cut out until the next season. I think they are going to go trophyless once again. But against Manchester United at Wembley, what better way to win a trophy by beating Manchester United, their arch rivals, their hometown rivals. And Manchester has to be blue once again, I think. But as far as Manchester United is concerned, I think they will have their work cut out, because they know they have new management as far as the team selection and team matters are going to go through, with Radcliffe taking over and showing so much keen interest in this team building. Even the coach is not safe. I'm talking about the manager Ten Hag. And which kind of Manchester United actually turn up, nobody knows. It's a kind of Pakistani team in cricket. You just don't know which Manchester United is going to turn up. Having 3-0 lead against Coventry and then blowing away 3-0 lead and only winning on the penalty shootout. I think that says a lot about how far Manchester United is as in terms of class as compared to Manchester City. And Manchester City's toughest game of the season, I thought, was their semi-final against Chelsea,
yes.
because they had burned out. They were just done and dusted against Real Madrid, and with Kevin De Bruyne coming off early, Haaland injured, not available, and then you're losing that game. Even if you're winning, these kind of injuries actually go back.
But a lot of credit to Chelsea. I think they did very well to hold City down.
Chelsea should have won that game.
Yes.
Chelsea should have won that game. They just could not finish off. And Jackson had a lot of credit for him by keeping Manchester City in the game itself. But the credit must also be given to Manchester City. They hung on. That is a caliber of a champion team, that if the things are going tough, they have to hang on and they have to wait for that one opportunity. And with Kevin De Bruyne in your side and having Bernardo Silva in your side, you are going to get that one opportunity in 90 minutes. And when they get it, they just grab it. That is the difference between a common team and a champion.
Funny thing is that I was just mentioning to Ali Mehdi before the show as well, that if I was to pick one player right now out of all the Premier League teams, I would say Kevin De Bruyne. The way he's playing football is exceptional right now. Adds so much to the diversity of the game as well. But Ali Mehdi, De Bruyne is not the only thing United are going to be worried about. You know, we understand City's resources alone, their manpower, that bench strength is something that can annihilate any team across Europe or any continent. But you know, in addition to Ten Hag's worries is the injury scare or unfit players that he's carrying a list of as well.
Look, you know, we can go on about beating around the bush and beating about Manchester United into a corner, but I have to say that as much how badly they performed this season, the amount of injuries, the number of injuries they've had this season has been incredible. You're talking about 5 central defenders, and I was telling you this before the show began, that 5 central defenders, and despite that being the case, we keep on going on against Harry Maguire. Harry Maguire himself was injured. He didn't train. He said, I didn't train that. And for him to play 120 minutes, that shows a lot of heart and spirit. And look, things have gone against Manchester United throughout the whole season. They've been very, very inconsistent. Actually, had a horrible record against the Premier League top 6 teams, and then obviously the other Champions League. They've been horrible. They got dumped out. They couldn't defend their Carabao Cup, also which Liverpool eventually won. But the thing over here is that they've rode their luck over here. You know, Coventry City were absolutely phenomenal on the day. The way they hit back 3-0 into 71st minutes, they hit 3 goals. But what did it show? United were completely, while we keep on talking about Man City going down to the bone, Manchester United were going down to the bone too. I don't understand this thing that Manchester City, yes, they had a tough game against Real Madrid on Wednesday, but in this game, look at Manchester United's bench strength. It was completely gone. They have so many injuries, and then at the same time, you know, they were so exhausted because of the fact that because of these injuries, and for them to actually make it to the final, not only is a bonus, but it can give that incentive that look, you know, everything is going against you. You are in a tight corner, but you've got 6 games left in the Premier League which you're going to fight for. But you need one more thing, and that is to fight for that final. You know, get revenge. Yes, Manchester City will be favorites for that match too. They're going to give it their best. But look, it's a cup final. We saw last year Manchester City did not play well. Manchester United could have done better. If Man United can get their defenders back and some players, you know, from the midfield like Mason Mount, you know, who I don't consider very highly too. But if they can get some players back, who knows, in a League Cup, in a FA Cup final, anything is possible. And, you know, Manchester United, and this, we could be in for a very similar situation, and I think Usman Bhai will remember this, of Van Gaal in 2016 when he played against Crystal Palace, and he was told that he was going to be fired, and that Mourinho was going to come into the ranks too. So he could be in that sort of situation, but he should just be positive, focus on these 6 games, and United must go and give everything in the tank against the blue machine Manchester City.
Well, I agree with you, Ali Mehdi, on that note. But you know, the argument that me and you were discussing, I'd like your take on that, and then I'll move on to Usman for the final word. That Manchester United have clearly themselves to blame.
Yeah.
They've not, you know, looked diverse enough to go after players. That transfer windows have been horrible. They've not thought about investing in players for the next 5 to 10 years as a future course of action. The way they handled the great Cristiano Ronaldo was itself the most embarrassing moment in the world of football as well.
No, look, without a shadow of a doubt, the way the upper management and also the whole hierarchy, and then from the owners to the hierarchy, and even the management have handled this place has been absolutely shocking for that matter. You haven't handled your players very well. There's not been any consistent, no stability. When you don't have stability amongst the entire hierarchy, you're going to have these problems, and that's why the other teams, the big teams like the Liverpools and the Manchester City and Arsenal, for that matter, have handled it very well, and that's something where Radcliffe will be looking forward, will be looking at this team. Look, the Jim Radcliffe, I'm very optimistic as a lifelong United supporter, that Jim Radcliffe is going to make changes and he's going to do it for the better. United are going to have a new CEO, and these are very good people coming in. But you know what? Right now, what should happen is that in the short term, if Ten Hag really wants to secure himself as this manager for the next season, he's got to perform well and he's got to win that FA Cup. Otherwise, Jim Radcliffe is going to show
hanging in the balance. I understand, Usman, your take on this as well, because you know, let's be honest, we saw so many, and like I always say, that the next big thing in the Premier League is going to be Newcastle United, because the way they're investing right now in the system. United have clearly failed the books over here.
We don't see any planning what Manchester United is doing. We are talking about Newcastle, they don't have any superstars. But look at players like Isaac, Bruno Guimaraes. These are some of the players who are not very popular, but once they come into the team, they are extremely effective. And they were talking a lot about the coach as well. Once this Saudi consortium took over, they thought that we are going to give some massive name into it, but we did not. And this coach is proving how good he is. And they were in the Champions League of late. They were in the group of that. They performed really well. Even this season, with so many injuries, we are talking about injuries of Manchester United. Why are we talking about only about them? There were many injuries for Manchester City as well.
Yes.
Talk about Chelsea. Talk about Liverpool. So there were many injuries. Talk about Newcastle.
Absolutely.
I think they had so many injuries.
Absolutely.
But still, they are outperforming themselves. We can talk about Chelsea. They were underperforming. Liverpool, for that matter, hung in. You have to give credit to them. Look at the Carabao Cup final. It was technically a BCT team that played against Chelsea, and Chelsea, it is still haunting Chelsea.
Absolutely.
They could have won that title.
I think I'll give a lot of that credit to Jurgen Klopp's philosophy, which we injected into the team as well.
One more thing I want to add.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. Unfortunately, that's all we have time for, Ali Mehdi and Malik Usman. Of course, from me and the entire team, it will be goodbye. But before we go, we've got a very special report for you. The 120th edition of the MP Bandara Polo Cup, the final which was held at the Rawalpindi Polo Ground as well. You got to watch this report because it was indeed a thrilling final, and of course to a historical cup that has been there for over ages as well. You take a look at that. From me and the entire team, it's goodbye for now.
The final match of the 120th MP Bandara Memorial Polo Cup held in Rawalpindi. FC KPK team defeated the PA team by 8 goals to 5. The match took place at the Rawalpindi Racecourse Polo Ground, with a large number of polo enthusiasts and foreign diplomats. Asfanjad Bandara distributed prizes among the players. The final match was played between Frontier Corps and Pakistan Air Force teams, with 4 teams participating in the tournament overall. Shahzad scored 6 goals for the KPK team, while Colonel Usman and Governor Ali scored 1 each. From the PAF side, squadron leader Hamza scored 2, group captain Fahad scored 1, and Air Vice Marshal Shariar scored 1 goal.
A lovely open side shot, good was goal.